Welcome to Pegwarmers. I'm Kevin,
I'm Tony from Act the Movies.
And I'm Ryan from Monster FX.
and we're here to celebrate Halloween and talk about toys.
Happy Halloween!
So what better way to celebrate Halloween than to talk about Universal Monsters?
Yeah, they're the best.
They're the best. The Universal Monsters have influenced the appearance of monsters that were literally just descriptions in books. Going forward, from the time those movies came out, every other version has been influenced by them, impacted by
yeah.
them.
Yeah, highly inaccurate description. By the way, I,
Well,
I
yes.
lied. I'm taking this off. I can't see anything. I thought I was going to go the whole episode with it. I can't do it. Highly inaccurate descriptions. Frankenstein's monster is described as like yellow with skeletal features and long black hair, and then you have a green guy with short hair. It's like not really accurate.
And that sports coat, you know?
I think Dracula, they mentioned he has like a mustache and a bunch of other stuff.
He's a fancy gentleman.
Yes.
Well, the Universal Monsters, I kind of have had this thought when we were talking about doing this topic that I think the Universal Monsters are probably the longest running merchandised brand. Like, even when they go dormant for a short period of time, it pops back up, and it's not just like some other like Dracula thing. It's
Yeah.
literally the Universal Monsters have been made by dozens of toy companies and in promotions for other products and stuff like that. It's really,
It's usually the whole collection. They pop back
Yeah.
up.
and
I
it's
mean,
amazing that they stay. It's has this staying power.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Universal got pretty lucky because a lot of those stuff that they were making movies off of were public domain. Dracula had just gone into public domain, I think. It wasn't when they did Nosferatu, and that ended up being a problem for those
Yeah.
guys. But Frankenstein was, so they didn't really have to license a lot of this shit, so they put it out, and they put them out all kind of close together. And they made a lot of them, so it ended up becoming like a little bit of a shared universe full of inconsistencies. So yeah, it made sense for them to re-release it over and over again. And then their versions of the characters became the most popular.
In the 60s, the earliest Universal Monster like toy type things that I am aware of were like the Aurora model kits, right? And,
Oh,
and they
yeah.
made these little models. You glue them together and paint them however you want. There were Pez dispensers in the 60s, and this would have been kind of right around the end of, or right after the final movies had come out, really kind of from that series, like
Yeah.
Gilman's from the 50s, or Creature from the Black Lagoon. And then Marx made figurines, like kind of like green plastic army men, but bigger,
Yeah.
of a lot of the monsters. And Mego did some,
Yeah.
in their classic style, the little,
Now they're re-releasing all the Mego.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
man.
And it just kept bouncing from toy company to toy company with a new version.
I gotta take off this Rubik's Cube.
He's dying.
This plastic nonsense is killing me. Holy mo! I was gonna try and make it the whole time. I can't. I give up. I give up.
But now you might combust. You took your flame retardant costume off.
Oh my goodness. Woo!
None of us could commit to the bits.
Oh man.
Anyway,
I'd be better off with the mask on.
Amigo, you said?
Yeah, so Mego did their style dolls, and then it just kept going from there. Remco did large figures and the small action figures the size of Star Wars figures, which Super 7 kind of expanded on with Reaction, and it just keeps going. And I think that's what's so amazing about this brand, is that they can just keep doing it and
So
finding
cool.
a new group of fans.
And it's going, well, they failed at making their Dark Universe, but they've
bad.
salvaged the IP, that's the name.
Yeah.
The Universal Studios is making a whole Dark Universe section, which is all based off the Universal Monsters. And last year I went to Halloween Horror Nights for the first time.
Okay.
And they had a Universal Monster specific like walkthrough.
Okay.
It wasn't the scariest, but it was like the most impressive. It looked
Yeah.
really, really cool. So the idea that they're expanding that to be its own park is going to be a lot of fun.
It's a lot of wardrobe changes in this
It
episode.
is.
for
Yeah,
you.
I'm gonna just keep doing it. Switch out costumes and masks the whole time.
So we're going to get more merch on the way. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I don't love the new designs. They made them very new.
They'll change them as time goes on.
Hopefully they go back to traditional. But I know the one issue they were having, I guess it was Boris Karloff's family sued, they would just willy-nilly make all the action figures. It wasn't until Boris Karloff's family was like, whoa, that's our dad's likeness. Like, it's not just a monster. You can clearly see it's our dad in makeup, so you owe us money.
Yeah, when I went there, I bought some T-shirts. So I had a Frankenstein one from last year, and it looks like Boris Karloff. Same with like the Mummy, but like I got those two because it looked like him, but like their Dracula did not, because it's a new design.
Yeah,
it looked nothing like Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
The what you call it, the Bride of Frankenstein looked nothing like her.
yeah.
So I guess they weren't able to get like license them. They could reprint old stuff, but
Right.
they can't do like new designs based off them. Yeah.
I always thought that these Marx figures are really cool, and this set actually, these are from the 90s. They're reissues. And
I love those.
They
Yeah.
came with like a paint set. You were supposed to be able to paint these things, and I bought them with that intention, and then was totally intimidated by them. The sculpts are so good,
Yeah.
and I was a kid and literally knew that I sucked and was like,
Yeah.
I just can't do it.
I had some of those. I got them at Zern's. I don't know
Okay.
if you remember Zern's.
Yeah, I remember Zern's.
And
It's like a local farmer's market that had
Yeah.
a lot of collector stuff in it.
gone now. But I got some of those. I never painted. I think I had the creature, but I never painted it because I got a Spider-Man kit and a whatever kit. I painted those and I was like, oh, these are bad. These are very bad. Okay.
I had the full series, and I don't know what happened to them when I moved. I don't know if I got rid of some or packed them somewhere else. I could only find these three. Very cool. And we have, you brought with you like a huge collection
much.
of these sideshow
Yeah.
toys that are fantastic looking.
Which I'm glad, because you solved the mystery. Somehow I got this Frankenstein monster missing an arm, and I have no idea what it is or where it's from. And you put the box on there. I'm like, oh, I own that. A broken one. I own
Yeah.
it.
The sculpts are really nice on these, and they have a lot of accessories. They each come with a little stand, which definitely reminds me of these
Yeah.
figurines. You know, having the little bases, or the Aurora model kits that all had like a little backdrop.
Yeah, it's definitely reminiscent of those model kits. It's pretty cool.
For sure, yeah. Great sculpting, though. They look really good. So we got Lon Chaney Jr. as the Wolfman here.
I like that they're crediting the actor. That's pretty
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is very cool.
cool. Yeah.
This is probably right after they got in trouble, and they're like, okay, all right, we're going to do a big push for these action figures, okay?
I also like how it says Universal Studios Monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about that with like Jurassic Park, where it's like anyone could make these, so you want to put your logo so they know it's the official
Yeah.
one.
Also, it says who sculpted these, which is very
Oh, that's
unusual in
cool.
toys. I have no idea how to pronounce this guy's name. Olaf Havakston. I probably just butchered it, but that's interesting that they put a credit on there,
that is
because
pretty
that's not
cool,
common
yeah.
in toys.
I like that they included the cane, the wolf cane. It's a very specific reference from that film, the silver wolf cane. There's also a bear trap. I don't remember a bear trap in the movie, but it's been a minute since I've seen
It's
it.
been a while since I've seen it. There might be a bear trap.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
But it looks just like him.
Yeah.
Should I get this one here?
Yeah, if you
sure.
want to.
Get the
So
creature.
they got the creature from the Black Lagoon, which is one of the original characters they made. I think it might be the only original character Universal made, right?
Yeah, everything else. Well, the Wolfman wasn't based on a novel, and the creature wasn't based on a novel.
Right,
It was
right,
just-
right.
At least the Wolfman was like, oh, Wolfman.
Wolfman is like a werewolf, but I feel
Yeah.
like this is like the most original.
Amazonian Fishman is totally.
Yeah, I feel like it's like
original,
the one original thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they made their own original characters. Like the
Yeah.
Mummy is. I think Bram Stoker wrote a Mummy book.
There is mummy nonsense, but like.
Yeah, but there wasn't like an official like with vampire, but everyone knows Dracula. But yeah, we have
yeah.
the creature from the Black Lagoon here.
I think the Mummy was really them trying to cash in on the buzz when
Yeah.
they discovered King Tut.
Yeah,
And so it
yeah.
was
They were
like, oh
getting
my
in
god,
there.
everyone was interested in Egypt.
They were about the curse. He comes with a spear gun and
Yeah.
a net. Who uses the spear gun? I don't know. He just,
Your other action figures.
Yeah.
they mentioned
Frankenstein.
12 points of articulation, but that's clearly just to pose it. This is not meant to be played with. This
No.
is
No.
for adult collectors. I know
sure.
there's 5 and up. No, it's older than that.
And these things are so heavy too, which is I couldn't imagine handing this to a child and be like, okay, go ahead. Go play with your Phantom.
They have like big descriptions on the back too, of like the film and whatnot, giving you like information. So these are really awesome.
Yeah, the packaging is really nice. The colors are beautiful. I never had these when I was younger. My brother got the Phantom and he opened it immediately, drove me crazy. So I stole his Phantom later. Don't tell him. Don't Nobody
He doesn't
tell him.
watch
He doesn't
this channel.
watch
You
this
said that
channel.
these were series. This is series 2.
Okay.
The Wolfman was
one.
series 1.
But it's like,
Notice you don't get an actor's credit on that one because it's a suit.
Yeah, they don't have to credit him because they don't have to show his face. Lon Chaney, like I get you. I bet you they tried to get out of using Lon Chaney Jr. because the makeup, and they're like, it's not different enough. No, but this is like a straight up mask. They're like, yeah, slap it on him.
We got a hunchback here.
Ooh. I always felt bad that he was included in the monsters. I'm like, he's not like a bad guy.
Yeah, he's not a bad guy. He's just, but a lot of them are like sympathetic.
Yeah.
It's only like the Invisible Man's a lunatic.
Yeah. Which line is that? Because that's different branding than the other 2 boxes. It doesn't say what series.
I think that's the later. That's like third
Series 3.
series.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, but the Hunchback is really one of the earliest Universal
Yeah.
monster movies. So just sort of a grotesque makeup movie that was set with a gothic thing, kind of set the tone for what they did in the future.
Like Lon Chaney did a lot of his own makeup for all his movies. It was like like he was the Phantom, and did this awesome stuff where he would pull his nose back
With the fishing line,
like fishing line. Where I heard like he had fish like scales. He would like do all this crazy stuff with like totally revolutionary special effects makeup. And I should send you the link of me doing ridiculous, like my ridiculous version of it. It was so funny.
I still have those animatronics from like the late 80s, early 90s, and I have the his mask is long gone, but I still have the Phantom, and he still goes like that, and I have a devil that goes with him.
Nice. How did they decide the colors on these? Do you think they had the reference stuff, or
they
just
must
made
have had
it up?
reference.
Because I believe the Bride of Frankenstein is supposed to have like auburn hair, right? But this toy is definitely that black hair
I
that
think they went
everybody
with
goes
like
to.
whoever was coloring the posters, who decided what color went on the poster. That's what happened.
They must have had like a company-wide memo, like, yeah, she's got black hair on the poster, so just keep it consistent.
I think that's what it is. That's why like people misremember Godzilla being green just because he was colored green on so many posters. But I mean, the creature, him being green makes sense.
Yeah.
I was just thinking with like some of the characters like clothing, like the Wolfman has a green shirt and Quasimodo has a green shirt. You know, like who picked these? They look fine. I'm not complaining about the colors. I find that stuff interesting with interpreting plastic versions of stuff, like the classic Han Solo from Empire Strikes Back. Is he wearing a blue coat or a brown coat? You know, controversies.
I mean, like they could probably guess. Like I don't think he's wearing hot pink.
But some of them you never know. Like the original Addams Family cartoon, live action show, the whole set was pink.
Yeah,
like the walls are pink and everything.
Yeah,
and just because it was black and white,
you had no idea.
Change color up. Like Superman's suit was strange colors in the live action show. So you never know. Wolfman could be wearing bright pink.
They dress him in stuff that would look good on camera. With the lighting.
This big goofball,
the Invisible Man.
From Series 3.
Oh, and he can
cool.
like switch his head out?
Yeah, he's got a clear head, which is pretty neat. One of my least favorite monsters of the Universal monsters. But, you know, pretty cool still.
Yeah, he's fine. Who played? Do they don't have the actor?
They have it's Claude Rains.
Yeah, but are they credited? Oh, they did.
Yeah,
Okay, it's on the
head.
side of that box. Okay.
Yeah.
Even invisible Claude Rains, you have to credit him.
I would have much rather had, I think it's the Return of the Invisible Man. It's Vincent Price.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love Vincent Price way better than Claude Rains. But I don't like the character. Who cares about the character? Until they made Hollow Man.
Yeah, with
Hollow
Kevin
Man's
Bacon, that
awesome.
one's great.
That's great.
Just such a good gimmick for on screen.
Yeah.
You know,
And look, I don't want to plug too much, but my show, Mummy Cop, we had a lot of these characters, and we did have the Invisible Mayor. He was a big character in season 2. There he is.
This big guy. This is the only one that's like falling out. I considered taking him out and was like, yeah, but I want to keep the packaging kind of.
And you never know if his arm will break off.
Yeah,
you never know.
That to happen. Now I'm kind of worried about it. But this is cool. Like I guess this is Series 1. Wolfman, the Mummy, and Frankenstein. The sculpture is gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks just like him.
The figure is so big and heavy. Like, it's crazy.
And he comes with like a torch and some chains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like how did they decide on that color green? What color green is?
Again, I think that was just the
Frankenstein?
poster. Whatever was more,
Somebody just decided he was green.
whatever was popular in the posters, they
Yeah.
decided that was it. That's
Seemed
his
like
color.
they used a lot of green.
Yeah.
How about Bride of Frankenstein?
Elsa Lanchester, who also played Mary Shelley in the beginning of that film,
Yeah.
the opening segment.
Beautiful lady.
And like she's super detailed too. So she has the
Yeah.
mummy wrappings.
It's cool if you look at the. It looks like they took masking tape and wrapped the sculpture in masking tape
Yeah.
and then cast that, because it looks like very, very detailed. It's very cool.
Famously, like it's so funny how popular The Bride is because you technically can get away with doing The Bride because they mention in the book that he is building a bride, but he never finishes the bride in the book. The bride never comes to life, Frankenstein. But because that movie was so popular, all these
Yeah.
other people, they can't help themselves. And since it is hinted at the book, they can kind of get away with it. They just can't give her the same hair. But yeah, she's barely in the movie.
Yeah.
She shows up. Ah!
I was talking about this a while ago. Like,
That's
Dracula's daughter is like an actual character and like the star of that film and very interesting. You never hear about her. But Bride of Frankenstein, who shows up for 5 seconds at the
yeah.
end, has become super iconic.
The look is just so great.
Yeah.
And this one comes with like a cloth good robe to put on. You can see it on the back of the
Yeah.
box.
Yeah. What are
And
the
an
other?
alternate head?
It's just like a lever.
Or electrode, I think maybe.
Yeah, I think it's
It
an
goes on her
electrode.
base.
Yeah.
And speaking of things for 5 seconds, Boris Karloff as the mummy. He only looks like that for the very opening of the film.
12 points of articulation.
Whoa. Yeah, that's all he looks like in the beginning of the film, and then he's like
Yeah.
a slightly like he just looks like an old guy for the
Yeah.
rest of the film.
That's what I love. I was always a monster kid from. I mean, literally the time I can remember. My earliest memories are playing with monster toys,
Yeah.
because I just happened to be born in the perfect era where they're like 1991.
Yeah.
I was like 4 years old. They're like monster costumes, monster toys, monster plates, monster
Yeah.
party stuff. So I got hit with the monster bug like right away.
You're right. They were pushing that because, like, what is it like?
Hard.
After World War II, they kind of slowed down making those movies, went all into sci-fi, but then they started playing them like on TV at night.
Yeah.
So like our grandparents kind of grew up with it, and then
Was it the relaunch of Universal Studio, like having the Florida?
that might have been
park
for the
opening?
'90s
maybe.
push. That might have
Yeah.
helped with
For
the
the big
'90s
90s
push, but like
because-
even like the '70s and '80s, they would just rerun them all
Oh,
the
yeah,
time
yeah.
on
Yeah.
TV. So many people grew up with
And like
them.
drive-ins.
And then- yeah.
That's one of the things that you don't really understand. Growing up in our era of like. Now kids can just watch everything over and over again on
Yeah.
streaming, but back then stuff would get played in theaters like every couple
Yeah.
of years. It'd come back around or drive-ins
Yeah.
and stuff. So
Yeah.
you would
There'd be double
could
features.
see
Like,
these
here's a
movies
new
all the time.
movie, and we're gonna play this one
Yeah.
afterwards.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's people like I think it was the 50s. Universal was like so embarrassed of all this monster stuff, but then they were like, so they packaged everything for horror hosts, like horror host Vampira and Bob Wilkins and Zachary, and like all these great local people. But they had, I think it was the Universal Monsters. They were like, okay, you can have all the monsters, but you can take all these other crappy movies
Yeah.
too. Like, here's all our backstock of crap. You got to make some money off this. And like, so they would show them on TV with like, ooh, Dr. Spooky's, blah, blah, blah. And all this stuff. And like, I know that's when it first became like repopularized.
And remember, because they were so popular, they're being parodied, or people are
Uh-huh.
making their own versions of
Yep.
it. So
There's,
they're going to have staying power for centuries. They're going to be around for a really long
Yeah.
time.
people often refer to these real Ghostbusters figures as the Universal Monsters
Uh-huh.
as like a subline, and it was really just a monster line because they're skirting that likeness. Like he's in the suit and the sleeves are too short,
Yeah.
but it's not Lon
He's got a
Chaney's got a
mohawk,
you
yeah.
know. But we talked about the Wolfman
And the
in the
Wolfman,
Ghostbusters
yeah.
episode,
I should have brought my Wolfman
but I
with
brought
me.
a few of those back.
It's my favorite mummy. Sorry. Mummy Cop.
Yeah.
It's
There
got
it
its
is.
own YouTube channel. Check it out. Also, that shelf is breaking. I had to like squeeze him out of there.
I think we found a lot of things wrong with this set.
Yeah, I think this set is starting to fall apart.
You need like a
Really?
you need like a makeover, a home makeover show.
Yeah.
to come in.
Patreon.com/hackmovies. I need to fix a lot of the set.
Make sure we're not crushed to death, please. Yeah, but the it's so cool. Like whatever waves. I think it was a couple years ago, like 5 years ago, they did another wave of like, here's a creature, like kids costume, and the like Frankenstein, the Bride. I'm like, well, for I guess the dark universe stuff, or back when they had the Universal, like they would have all the legacy characters just walking around at Universal. So I was like, yeah, we'll just repopularize them and sell crap. And they did sell lots of crap. Beautiful stuff. I love it.
The 90s, like you were saying, was a great time, though, for like with monster stuff. I got really into monsters partly in the 80s because we had a series of orange kids' books at my library that are like kind of famous now for
same thing in
the
my
monsters
school.
and Godzilla and stuff.
Yeah.
But then Monster in My Pocket came out, which was a toy line from Matchbox. And it had all the little monsters in it. And they had to, again, skirt, like, copyright. It was the monster and
a couple
the
of them actually, I
vampire.
think, got taken out of out of the run because there was too close.
Yeah. And then
cool.
at the same time, we ended up with all the Universal stuff. Like, I was so excited about, like, the Dorito tie-in and little stickers and stuff. Because I was just into the monsters in that moment.
This Dracula here is a Doritos tie-in from the 90s, as far as I know. And I have Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein over there. We didn't put them up because there
was just not enough room.
But they're all from the 1990s Dorito tie-in. And if you look at the Frankenstein, it's not Boris Karloff, it's Glenn Strange.
Because the later one,
yeah, it was like, it's a third Frankenstein. Who cares?
Yeah,
it's Frankenstein.
I did like that Karloff was the monster, and he ends up playing the doctor years later. I forget what his doctor name was. It wasn't Frankenstein. It was something else.
I forget.
Yeah, even Super Impulse. I don't know if you've ever seen these guys. They're the world's smallest. They make all kinds of weird little toys. But they did some Universal Monsters recently. This is the little Frankenstein one. But it's just amazing how just every so often someone grabs it and does something new with it.
Count Chocula and all the cereals, and then now all the cereals are like an annual thing again.
Yeah.
It's like, this is so wild.
Halloween has become such a marketable
It's the one, besides Christmas, it grows every year.
Yeah.
Nonstop. I think there was 1 year that it dipped. But it's like an industry that grows exponentially every year. It's wild.
Yeah.
Like
the costumes, the decorations.
Yeah, and like all the people like you and me, I had those books in my library when I was a kid. Now, I mean, I'm not the head of a monster-making company or anything. Oh, wait, I am. But, like, there's lots of us out there that are like, oh, yeah, well, I'm the head of whatever nonsense company. Let's do Universal Monsters.
Yeah.
Like,
Brian Flynn from
not?
Super 7. Like, they do like the pumpkin pails, but with different Universal Monsters on them and all kinds of fun stuff like that.
I haven't bought any of those because I'm like, well, if I buy one, I have to buy
them
all of them. So I have to pick my favorite, and then depends on what week it is, what time of day it is, which my favorite creature, and oh man, it's killer.
Okay, this is one where they got kind of obscure. I mean,
this is the Metaluna mutant.
It gets the least amount of merchandise.
Yeah.
This is like when they started to get into like sci-fi, and I mean he's cool, but it's the top is an alien, and he's wearing pants.
I like the movie. That's the one they did for the Mystery Science Theater 3000 movie, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It was like one of those things where I never was into aliens. I was just like, I just want more monsters.
I mean, I like them, but yeah, it starts to feel like this should be a different, I guess it's technically Universal, but it's like, all right, that's not really what we think of it after a while.
Every once in a while, someone tries to lump Jaws in with the Universal Monsters.
Yeah,
I always think
like,
that's really bizarre, too.
Like, and then you got to do like all the Jurassic Park dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I mean, you could. It doesn't feel like that original.
It's really stretching the brand a little
They
bit.
count as Universal Monsters, but like
They're
then
not gothic horror, you know?
Yeah, is like the Rock from Doom a Universal monster? What you go? Justin used to mention that. He's like, does that count? Because it's a Universal movie.
The Scorpion King?
Yeah, it's the Rock from the Scorpion King, a Universal monster.
Last but not least, the beautiful Phantom of the Opera. And this one is me and my brother would fight all the time because we always wanted the same thing. I'm like, well, if you buy it, I'm not going to buy it. And then he opened it. I was like, oh my God, I knew I should have bought it. I can't believe you opened that thing. It's gorgeous. What the hell's wrong with you? So now I have my own, Patrick.
Did they ever make a Robert Englund Phantom of the Opera movie? Oh, but they did, but like a toy. Did they? Make
I don't think
toy
they ever
for
made a
it?
toy, but that would be a fun one to review. That's a weird movie.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie.
Yeah.
He didn't like how it was advertised, but yeah, it's not a bad movie.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But that's another thing, like the amount of spin-off Frankenstein and Phantom movies where it's like, well, these aren't Universal and we're very close.
Yeah.
But like he's like a slasher Phantom. He's not just a regular Phantom. Don't sue us, please.
Yeah, at some point we got to come back. We got to get more of these McFarlane ones. So McFarlane made a bunch of monster ones.
That would be a great video all of its
I feel like
own.
he made little toy sets too.
Yes.
Yes.
Play sets and things.
But
I have a couple of the little toy sets like loose.
So this is a Wolfman. But like the
That's a
idea is
weird
that
one.
he's exploding out of like the wolf form is coming out of a body, which is
Okay.
like a thing in vampire lore.
Yeah.
But like it's a little confusing because we have one Wolfman here, but then just a regular wolf coming out the back. But then also there's this machine. Is the machine like, does he use this to kill, or is this the machine that's ripping his skin off? It's a little confusing. What's exactly going on here with the hooks and chains other than his Hellraiser line or the
looks
Tortured
cool.
Souls
Yeah.
did well. But it looks super graphic and violent. I remember I haven't looked at them in a long time. I have to look up pictures of them. But yeah, maybe next year we'll get some of these.
That would be
come
cool,
back. Yeah.
Yeah, what McFarlane lacks in articulation, he makes up for in interesting concepts.
Yeah. I do have a lot of more McFarlane stuff.
Okay.
They're in boxes because I have nowhere to display them. Joe gave them all to me, but I have like his Wizard of Oz.
Oh,
yeah.
The
those are
McFarlane
very
Wizard of
cool.
Oz line, which is like very...
That was one my parents were like, "Are you?"
Which I had on display at my old apartment, and my
clearly
cousin...
bondage.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
all
Yeah, my
naked,
cousin
like-
brought
remember
like
them.
my goddaughters over, and I'm
You're
like,
not
oh, I
buying
probably
that.
should have threw a blanket over that or
Yeah.
something. They're like, what's that? I'm like, nothing. Those are like the weird fairy tale
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
All right.
what's your favorite Universal monster?
I think I got to go with Frankenstein. I just think he's so classic, and just the
The doctor?
performance is there. No, the monster.
You know what's funny? Oh, my Millennium box set fell over. You asshole.
I thought it was the set collapsing.
Yeah, thought we're gonna die.
After you guys leave, I am
This is like
gonna pop the drill out and make some add some more screws into this.
I thought it was the windmill at the end of Frankenstein. It's gonna crush us all.
I was talking with a friend of mine in my Ed Wood review, which is probably out by now, but Son of Frankenstein is the earliest thing I could think of where they make like a meta joke. And it's Wolf Frankenstein, like the son. And he's like, oh, my family's name's been tainted by that monster. And there's one part where he goes, do you know that there are even some people that refer to that creature as, and then some guy off screen calls the name, goes, Frankenstein? I'm like, oh, they were making fun of how everyone got the name wrong back then.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's
that's
funny.
really funny.
Well, it's hard when the poster has
Yeah.
the monster and the word Frankenstein
Yeah.
on it to not go, oh, that guy's not named
Like, people who
Frankenstein.
read the book probably get it, but
Yeah.
people who
Yeah.
don't know, like, oh, that must be his name. Movies were different. But, yeah, I don't know. I think Frankenstein has the best movie with Bride of Frankenstein.
It is very good.
Personally, I like The Mummy the most. Mummy Cop probably explains that. But also
That
the
does
Draculas
explain
were good.
something.
Draculas are good.
Yeah, I love the creature.
Yeah.
He is just the coolest, and it's like one of those movies that's it's not gothic setting, it's not like old timey, it's just a jungle cruise basically.
Yeah.
They find a weird creature and a
It's cool they did a lot of
know.
underwater photography for that
oh
one.
yeah, and it's gorgeous.
What about Return to the Creature, where he's like turning into a dude?
They get worse. They get so bad.
Diminishing returns.
Yeah,
Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman's pretty good.
Yeah?
it is.
It's got
good.
that awesome song about drinking wine. That one's good.
And then Abbott and Costello meet.
Yeah.
It's so good.
That's the only one where Bela Lugosi came back, right?
I think so. Yeah.
He didn't come back for any of the... He was in more Frankenstein movies than Dracula, I think.
Yeah.
That's my favorite in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. Like, they like totally ignored the continuity from the previous movie and they cut out all his dialogue.
Yeah.
And people are like, why does he walk like that? It's like, well, if you watch the end of the previous one, he went blind because Igor put... That's technically Igor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put his brain in the Frankenstein monster, but brain didn't match, so he went blind. So that's why he's doing this, and everyone thinks it looks stupid. It's like, well, yeah, because they
that
cut out the
became
explanation.
the parody of
Yeah.
like
Same thing with... Did they not do a Dracula one of these?
Actually, I don't know.
Goodness, do we
Hold
not
on,
have the
hold
complete
on.
set?
Wait, look at your series. Is there a Dracula?
No.
Oh, that's bizarre.
I wonder if they were saving him to headline Series 4 and then just didn't get to Series 4.
Maybe.
I don't know,
yeah.
but oh yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this in the Ghostbuster one. Can you grab me your Dracula there?
Yeah,
the
there is no
Ghostbusters one?
Dracula. Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, even that does it. So this is one of those like inaccuracy things. Dracula doesn't have a widow's peak
Okay, yeah.
in the original movie. Do you know why they always make him with a widow's peak?
No.
It's a mistake. People are misremembering White Zombie. Bela Lugosi had the widow's
yeah.
peak in White Zombie.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So because they kind of came out together, it's both Bela Lugosi. So people misremember him as Dracula with the widow's peak. But if you
Yeah.
look at Bela Lugosi's Dracula, he does not have it. Also, it might be a clever thing to get around copyright. It's like,
Yeah.
well, yours doesn't have a widow. We added a widow's peak to ours.
yeah.
There you go.
Brr.
Yeah, it's great. I always love the Universal monsters are the coolest. I had those read those books all the time, and growing up with all this nonsense, it's just amazing seeing these big action figures and like how gorgeous they are. And like you said, that they just keep getting rebooted over and over and over again, and like you could pick like any era that you want, like the originals, or I always love Hammer Horror.
Yeah,
It's
I
like-
need to
They're
watch a lot
so
of them.
good.
Yeah.
Holy moly, they're good because they're in color. They have half naked or sometimes naked,
Yeah.
beautiful women, and like they're vicious. Like
Yeah.
their Dracula is so good.
Mm.
They're probably the best monster movies. Christopher Lee as Dracula is like bloodshot eyes, dripping blood everywhere. Like they're so wild.
I'm
It's
interested to see what's happening
good.
next because we're getting Nosferatu, which is basically Dracula.
Yeah.
We're getting a new Nosferatu, which looks really good. The Invisible Man did really well. I didn't see the movie. I had a dinner with you, and they had it on TV, and it all got spoiled.
Oh yeah,
And I'm like, oh, it's a suit, I guess. I'm like, I don't need to watch it.
Yeah.
But
It
that
was-
one did really
It
well.
was really good. It was a really well made.
Yeah,
movie.
so people are like they're figuring out better ways to reboot them after that embarrassing Mummy
yeah,
disaster.
yeah.
But yeah, I feel like every few generations they come back. Because in the 90s, we had Bram Stoker's Dracula, Mary Shelley's
Yeah.
Frankenstein, Mary Riley, which was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Wolf with Jack Nicholson, which is just the Wolf Man.
yeah.
There was a lot of those, like, it's either public domain or like, we kind of do the same
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
without
yeah.
getting in trouble.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're circling back to that. They tried it in the early 2000s after Mummy did well. They're like, let's go all in on Van Helsing. Like, oh, no.
That was so bad. I remember when I was a kid and Van Helsing came out,
Yeah.
my family was like, "Oh, this is fun. It's silly monsters." I'm like, "Monsters aren't silly. They're terrifying.
They can be silly.
Rip you to pieces. Like Wolfman rips you to pieces. This
Yeah.
isn't funny." I hated it.
I hated it originally.
Oh, I didn't even watch it for
Yeah.
years. I'm like, I'm not watching this piece of crap.
I will say, if you watch it, like, I watched it a few years ago, and I'm like, it's actually more entertaining as
It
an
is
adult.
fun, yeah.
Because you're like, okay, this is good for, like, real little kids and adults to laugh at.
Yeah,
But
I
in between,
I watched
it doesn't work. Yeah.
I think it was last Halloween. I watched it for the first time, like all the way through, and it was like, oh, this is fun and silly,
It's a
ridiculous.
popcorn movie.
The only excruciating part was I love watching movies with commentary.
Yeah.
So I'll watch it, and then because the age of the movie, the commentary is like, wow, well, you see, it's a real actor, and then it morphs into CGI.
It's like, yeah, we're-
computer graphics.
By the way, I was aware in the theater as a teenager. I'm like,
Oh,
yeah, no, I
yeah.
can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's pretty obvious.
The Frankenstein monster was the worst part of that movie. But anyway,
Yeah.
anyway.
But the whole commentary is that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, oh, jeez Louise.
Explaining computer graphics.
Yeah.
It's just so funny. They did the Mummy and then they put them all in one movie. I'm like, I would have tried a couple of these out before you did them all, but okay.
Save a few for the sequel, maybe?
Yeah. I killed Jekyll and Hyde in the beginning. Like, you don't want to have... She's going to build up to Van Helsing versus the Mummy. That would have been cool.
What's going on with you these days, Tony? It's October.
Well, this is October. Is your Halloween episode. I got a bunch of the Halloween spooky movie reviews coming out. Or they're already out. I'm not sure exactly when this airs. But they are out. At the time of filming, I've only shot one. But I'm pretty sure I shot the rest. And that I'm alive and doing well.
I believe in you, Tony.
Thank you. Yeah, I talk about monsters usually. A while back, we did Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah, and that was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
That was fun. My favorite part of that was the comment section. I forget your name. I was going to bring it up. But I was told they said, is that the guy from Bloodsport? He went from hipster to dumpster. I was like, you scoundrel.
You were wearing like a nice hat and Bloodsport, and then you're dressed like an 80s punk.
I know. I was like, you mother. Oh, it was so funny. I was like, these comments are hilarious.
What's going on with you, Ryan?
It's Halloween, the best time of year. I'm just busy making lots of monster nonsense. If I succeed, you're going to see a fun monster line of nuggets from me in a commercial that I'm filming right now. Hopefully it all comes together.
All right.
And hopefully you're still alive, like I hopefully am.
I hope so.
Never know what'll
But
happen.
if not, you could get the stuff. It's back in stock. I keep getting messages, so I'm gonna pull it out. Oh, squishy, soft, melty ice cream foam toy inside. Yeah, you could get stuff containers on the internet, but they don't look as good as this, and they don't have foam stuff, monster stuff in it.
Speaking of monsters, do you still have Evil Dead books or the My Pet Blob?
I do.
Ooh,
yeah,
right.
so just check out Monster FX on Etsy, Instagram, all that nonsense.
Nice.
All right, guy. The set's haunted, I think.
Ah!
All right.
Oh, yeah. Let's sign off.
Happy Halloween, and thanks for hanging on the peg with us.
Ooh.